And that's Ain't Got a Thing by Hank Mizzell from his LP, which is called Jungle Rock, and it was recorded, it says here, March the 30th, 1976. And how long was it before that since you've been singing that kind of music?
15 years.
1960, 61.
1961, yes.
And how does it feel coming back to it?
Great.
Yeah?
Fantastic.
And I hardly know anything about you except you told me you came to Chicago in 1956. Where were you before 56?
Asheville, North Carolina.
And you grew up there?
Yes, that's where I did my first radio.
Radio?
Radio show, yeah.
As what?
Country singer. I had a band.
How did that work? I mean, every day, every week, or?
Every day, 15 minutes at lunch. I worked at a food market and went out the back door to the radio station and did 15 minutes during my lunch hour.
For how long?
About a year, I suppose.
Yeah.
Then I moved to Montgomery, Alabama, Hank Williams' hometown, and did a daily radio show, 30 minutes. And that's where I got the name Hank. I was doing my own material.
And then?
Let's see, I went to work and played around and then went to Chicago in 56.
So we were speaking of Hank Williams. You must have been doing his material, or was it all your own material?
I was doing mine, but I was doing his too, because he's always been my favorite country writer.
Elijah was a wooden Indian standing by the door. He fell in love with an Indian.
And that's Hank Williams, Call Elijah. And this is Honky Tonk, Charlie Gillett here, talking to Hank Mizzell. And if you have any questions you'd like to ask Hank, the number here is 486-7744. Lynn Brody and Graham Bacon taking the calls. So, Hank, you were wondering whether you should do that in your set again now. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. You know, I was just wondering about the people.
I think so.
But I do it a little different than Hank, you know. I rock it. And it's there. There's no question about it.
That's right. And
Yeah.
It's got a really nice drum beat there.
It's there.
I think a lot of people would have assumed, since they only ever heard that Hank Mizzell had done this one record, Jungle Rock, that might have been the only record you ever made. But that's not the case, is that right?
No, I've cut several.
What was the order of them? You know, which was the first one, and where do you do that?
Jungle Rock was the first song I ever recorded.
So that was after you moved to Chicago, was
Yes.
it? Okay, well, let's keep the chronology going. So the last time we left you in Montgomery, Alabama, and then where'd you go?
From Montgomery, Alabama, I went to Chicago in 56. Started playing, went to work at a Hot Point place, you know, a factory. Went down and visited the club, and we sat in, and they asked us if we wanted a job. And I said, no, we won't take the band's job. He says, they're fired anyway. So we took it. And so the next 5 years we worked about 12 different clubs.
Doing what kind of material there?
A rockabilly. I went there as a country singer, and 3 months later I was a rockabilly singer.
How did that change come?
You couldn't hold a job in 56 without you did most of the rock stuff. And so I learned it real fast, and I enjoyed it. I really do enjoy it.
And that meant music you could dance to. Is that the main thing about rockabilly compared to the other previous country music? You could dance better to it, or what was it?
Oh, yeah. I think the young people could move to rockabilly. And country music back then, most of it was slow, you know, and all you could do was a two-step waltz.
All right, well, just before we go to the rockabilly stuff, we got one of those two-step waltzes right here.
All right.
Nice, that's Hank Mizzell. Easy Money from his LP Jungle Rock on the Charlie label. And that followed the Delmore Brothers doing Blues Stay Away From Me with a really nice harmonica by Wayne Rainey. And Easy Money is about the last thing, a way of describing your experience of the music business, I should imagine.
Yes, yeah, it sure is.
All right, well, let's get to the session of Jungle Rock. How did you decide to do that? This is the original in Chicago. When you're playing the rockabilly things, you must have felt you wanted to join in the game of making records, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I guess that's every, singer, writer, musician's desire to cut a record. So we got the opportunity to cut on this little label, Echo, you know, and went into the garage and cut it.
What was Echo? You found the label before you went and made the record, did you?
It was a local disc jockey's little label he'd started, and he was in the club when we did, right after I wrote Jungle Rock, and we did it for the public. And they liked it, and we liked it, and he liked it. So we went out to his garage, and we cut it.
And who else was in the band with you at that time?
Jim Bobo played lead guitar, and he was my lead guitarist for the last, year. and Bill Collins was our drummer. And we picked up a bass man, Eddie, because I didn't use but two then, Bo and Collins. So we picked up a friend of ours named Eddie, and he played the bass.
So when you were doing live gigs, you didn't have a bass?
At times, yes. At times there would be a lead, drums, and a bass, and then I played flat top.
And then flat top? What's flat top?
Flat top guitar.
What is it?
Spanish guitar.
Oh, I see. Okay. And there's a fourth name on the composer credits, Ralph Simonton. Who's he?
He was the owner of the Napoleon Lounge where we were working when we cut Jungle Rock. And he was supposed to have been our manager, deposited a certain amount of money in the bank to promote us, which he didn't do, which is why I hope he doesn't get any money. But he will. He'll get it.
And you may not.
Yeah.
We don't know. So the record then came out on Echo, and nobody ever heard it at that point. So what happened
No,
next?
it was local jukeboxes in Chicago, you know, and then a fella came in and heard it on the jukebox and heard us do it and said, "Hey, I'm with King Records out of Cincinnati. I can get it on King, you know." And I figured out another drunk. But I gave him the master, and he took it, and the next week it came out on King Records.
And anything happened to it then?
No, he had a fellow by the name of James Brown who had just hit on the West Coast, and he put all his promotion and work on James Brown and made him, and Jungle Rock died.
And that was the last you heard of it?
That was the last I heard of it until about 3 months ago.
And you dropped it out of your act soon after that, I guess?
No, I did it. We did it on because it was a very popular number on the floor.
Right up to 61 or whatever?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, before we get to there, I was going to play a couple of the numbers that you would have been playing. Or you could maybe tell us some of the people that you liked at that time and, you know, whose material you might have done.
Yeah, Carl Perkins was one of my favorites. And I do one of his songs on stage called Boppin' the Blues.
Okay, well, it was a great intro, but unfortunately I'm on the record before.
Are you? I still do it.
Okay. I'm going to play Elvis's Good Rockin' Tonight, and then we play Boppin' the Blues.
All right.